So, it's the end of the world. Or is it? So, I have just literally gotten back from university. I got back a couple of days ago. It was unsurprising, really. The uni were going to announce that they were going to completely close off all lectures and there will be nothing at all happening at the uni. So, at that point, as soon as the email came through, I decided to come home. And here I will be for quite some time, living through this insane event that has literally taken over the world. In a way, it feels kind of weird to be in such a historic moment. But yeah, we are living through it. For a lot of people, myself included, I'm certainly quite worried as to how the next couple of months are going to be. Because they're going to be such a different lifestyle change to the sort of thing I've been used to. I've been so used to being around people and everyone, and it's going to be very weird sort of not being around people. And so in this video, I thought I'd give you guys 10 sort of top tips. Here they are. So number one, most important thing, you've got to make sure that you talk to your friends. You need to make sure that you keep your phone nearby. You know, you need to make sure you're never sort of half an hour away from any messages. And I think by contact, I've got to extend this to not just texting, because normally a lot of the time we just end up texting each other. We don't really do anything more than that, really. We never tend to phone much or video chat. You need to do that at this point. You need to have better contact, because texting is not a great form of communication, and you'll end up misinterpreting and you'll end up feeling a lot more lonely as a result. It has been shown that people who text rather than phone are far more likely to be lonely. So I recommend making a schedule thing to video chat or phone call any of your friends, because that will help so much. I personally phoned my friend yesterday and I can tell you that I felt so much better afterwards. So schedule in a time where you phone each other. It might feel a little bit weird at first, but as soon as you do it a few times, it will become much more of a habit. Tip number 2, stay off news feeds as much as possible. I've found over the last few days, the news has been more depressing than ever. I do think that even at the best of times, the news is never great, particularly with the last couple of years with Brexit happening. The news has never been ideal. Now, you're not going to see any good news at all for quite a while, it looks like, and there's nothing really you or anyone can do about this. We just have to wait it out. And checking the news is only going to be an additional source of anxiety. Honestly, so many people right now are feeling exactly the same way that you're feeling, and you're not alone. Anyone who's checking the news, just seeing that daily death toll go up is the most depressing thing ever. And as important as it is to know about the news, there comes a point where it's going to do nothing but hinder your mental health. So I would say cut it out completely. Try and do whatever you can to stop yourself checking news feeds. What I've done personally, I've actually gone to my router and I've actually gone and individually blocked or whitelisted websites that are likely to going to make me depressed. So things like BBC News, Twitter I've decided to stay off, Facebook timeline I've decided to stay off as well. So I would recommend, if possible, trying to do that. So if you don't know how to do it, maybe ask one of your family members, or just go and filter out the news as much as possible. Tip number 3, going outside. Now I'm aware this probably doesn't apply to absolutely everyone, and if you do have the 14-day quarantine, if you have the illness, then this unfortunately won't apply. If you don't have that, then I recommend going outside as much as possible, but trying to distance yourself from people as much as possible. Studies have shown that walking around in nature is very beneficial for your mental health. Now, we're actually in March, so we're actually at quite a good time of the year for the weather, and the weather is actually set to improve over this next week as of recording right now. There's going to be a lot of sunshine, there's going to be a lot of spring sunshine, it's going to start getting warmer. I recommend getting out in the country a lot more, going for walks, going running as well, just exercise like that, just going out and seeing nature. like maybe just taking the car somewhere, just going to like a really kind of remote location and just spending time outdoors. Tip number 4 follows along from this, and that is actually doing as much exercise as you can. Obviously not all exercise is going to be available, but things like walking, running, cycling are great ways to boost your mental health. I'm personally a big runner, and I've found that running, as hard as it is to motivate yourself to do it, I found that every time I get back from a run, I feel so much better than I have done from before. And the reason is because they found that running, similar to getting high, actually releases endorphins, and that basically means that as soon as you get back from running, you suddenly feel a very elated high. And I've personally experienced that many times, but the good thing is it's completely healthy. After you get back from a run, you'll feel so much better, and if you do it over time, if you do it again and again, then you'll get even more benefits. There's honestly so many benefits to running, and I'll put a link down in the description to some of the benefits of running if you're unsure. In a nutshell, there are so many physical and mental health benefits for running. Now, I appreciate that not everyone's into running, but even something a little bit milder, so like cycling or walking, is great. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5, make a massive list of stuff that you want to watch on Netflix. This is not a product placement for Netflix, just saying. Have you ever had a conversation where someone's said to you, have you seen this on Netflix? And then you've been like, no, I haven't. What's it about? They've kind of explained it to you, and you've probably been like, oh, okay, cool, I'll give it a watch at some point. And then realistically, you probably haven't done. Well, now is your chance to impress that friend that you had who's told you about that show. Go and ask that friend, try and find out what that show was that they were on about, and then what's to stop you realistically from watching the whole thing from start to finish? Go for it. You have all the time in the world. Make a big long list of stuff that you've been meaning to watch on Netflix. There's a lot of really good shows actually at the moment. One that I really like is called The Stranger. It's only 8 episodes, and unfortunately, given how addictive it is, you'll most likely get through it quite quickly. But if you like sort of crime, mystery, drama, then The Stranger is pretty good. But there's so much to see on Netflix, and there's all the time in the world. Tip number 6, cooking. Get your cooking abilities on. Now is the perfect time to master getting good at cooking. Go out, grab some food, and then just go and do some cooking. And also something like baking is a really, really good thing to do as well. If you master the art of baking over this period, I guarantee you'll be very popular with your flatmates afterwards. So there you go, get cooking, get in the kitchen, and get baking. Tip number 7, organise lots of family activities. So chances are you're probably going to be with nobody else but your family over the next couple of months. And this is a great time to do lots of sort of family events that you probably not otherwise do, because most people are probably in a rush. But now, it's going to be a really nice time to sort of, do lots of, warm family events. Of course, every family is going to be different, but things like, family board games and all sort of sitting around, doing, all partaking in similar activities is such a great way to feel a bit happier. And speaking from personal experience, I'm very aware that when someone suggests wanting to do something, you initially don't feel very keen at all. You're like, this feels weird, which is understandable. I get that. I have a sort of slightly out of usual suggestion. It's sort of a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I was just gonna go and do what I normally do. But honestly, take the opportunity. Do that weird thing. Do that slightly odd event. Play a board game with your family, because I guarantee you, in 2 hours' time, you'll be feeling so much better than if you were to just sort of sit down and watch the news and watch YouTube videos and just go flick through Facebook or something. So go do that. Tip number 8, learn a new skill. Now is the perfect time to learn any sort of skill which will kind of either benefit your career or just something that you really want to learn. So in my case, obviously I'm doing physics, and I know jack shit programming. I am so bad at programming. It's unreal. I'm gonna definitely take the next month or two to try and learn programming. So by the time I'm ready to go back to uni, I'll be much better, much more equipped, and then I can go and code some shit or whatever. Somehow I can't see myself doing that, not gonna lie, but we'll wait and see how that goes. That's what I'm gonna do. But again, it could be anything, like learning a new language or doing artistic things or learning a new instrument. And I know it sounds all a bit cliche, but really, you won't know how you get on with it until you actually try. And honestly, you might not like the sound of learning the flute or something to begin with, but until go and pick up the flute, learn that flute, play a bit, and then you never know until you try. So yeah, tip number 9. Tip number 9, know that this situation has absolutely nothing to do with you personally, and know that literally every single other person out there is feeling awful about this situation, and it's a level playing field, and you have nothing to feel bad about. If you know that everyone else is sort of feeling the same way as you, that might not make you feel so bad. And finally, tip number 10, plan several events that you're gonna do after this has passed. So it's gonna probably be a little while between when the peak happens and when, life fully returns to normal. But there's definitely going to be a sort of period where I think everyone's, going to be quite happy to be sort of outside again. And there's probably not everything's going to start up immediately. So I'd recommend in that time planning some, events and stuff to look forward to. Maybe like a sort of a holiday. Obviously it's a bit, hard to know when that's going to be, but, plan some sort of social events that that you're going to do when the virus has passed. So there you go. So those are my sort of top 10 tips for being able to cope with this. I recognise it's a really hard time. It's a hard time for literally everyone. And, it's probably one of the most sucky things to really happen, certainly in my life. I had a lot of plans this year, but we're all in the same boat, and we've all got to get through it. So yeah, if you implement those 10 tips, then I guarantee you that the next few months will not be anywhere near as bad as they would have done if you don't do those 2 tips. And also, just a side note, it's right at the beginning of it, and you're bound to feel so bad right at the beginning of a long period. But I honestly feel like in a week's time, we will all be so much more used to this. We'll have all gotten used to being at home, gotten used to not talking to people so much. It's just the initial shock of going from a really busy place to being completely at home and not talking to anyone directly. But honestly, it'll get better. See you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.